Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome to the beginning of our F1 2020 My Team series. We are adding an 11th Formula 1 team to the grid for the 2020 season in Formula 1. The team name is supposed to be Cookie Monsters, but for some reason I kept on getting errors, so we have just Cook for now. Eventually I'm able to fix that, but as you guys see, just some of the summaries of the team building aspects we were going through, because the team building takes quite a while, so I tried not to spend too much time on it. As you guys see, we have a Mercedes engine off the bat, so we're not starting completely from scratch. We have Nikita Mazepin as our teammate. Hopefully I can get that name, completely right. Hopefully it's at least close to right now. So we have a Russian as our contemporary at Team Cookie Monster, or Cook, whatever you want to call it. You guys can see the settings we are using. We're moving the difficulty to 101. If you guys may remember the last F1 My Career series I tried to do last year, the difficulty was way too easy for us, so we're gonna make it difficult, 101, and hopefully we have quite a challenge ahead of ourselves, as well as starting a brand new team.
Hello folks, and welcome to the HQ of Formula One's newest team. We've been invited backstage to gain an exclusive insight into what could be one of the most exciting entries in the sport for many years. Now, we've seen a number of new teams enter the sport over the last decade, amongst their number Manor, Caterham, HRT and of course Haas. And while some have proved to be successful, others have morphed into different teams and some have disappeared completely. What marks this team out, though, as being something different is that its owner is also its driver. Now, there's a rich history of that in Formula 1 too. Sir Jack Brabham, John Surtees, Graham Hill and Bruce McLaren all drove their own cars in the sport, but it has become increasingly rare in recent years. What's very special about this team, though, is that while the team itself is new to Formula 1, so too is its driver and owner.
Whatever happens this season, you've already made the history books. Tell me, do you feel up to the mammoth task of both managing and driving for a Formula 1 team?
I don't think so. I'm not sure we're ready for this, but we're doing it. We're going in cold turkey. Let's see what we got, and let's give our team a little bit of confidence right now.
Every team needs two drivers, but what was it that drew you to your teammates?
Honestly, man, the salary. We picked a guy that was only asking for the cheapest salary on the grid. There was really nothing more to it. Like, long term with our team, eventually we'd like to get a better driver than Nikita Mazepin. But for now, he is technically he has a skill set that fits our team.
No one aims to finish bottom of the table. Who's the team you're aiming to beat?
And when I say skill set, I mean, lack of salary. But, yeah, we're not trying to be at the bottom of the grid. This is where we pick our rival for the season, our rival team. So we're not going to just shoot for Williams. We'll go for Haas, the American team, and see if we can outdo Haas.
How are you expecting the car to feel out on track?
Now, this is where I believe we, build up one of the departments, whether it's durability, aero, chassis, or power unit, depending on the way we answer these next couple of questions. So, we're going to focus on the traction out the corners and see what that does.
The other teams now have years of experience, both on and off the track. How are you planning to catch up to them?
Realistically, man, all of these would be nice. Like, why do I gotta pick one? It would be nice to have a nice engine. It would be nice to have a durable car. It would be nice to have a nice chassis underneath the car, and aero's nice too. But, like I said, we can only pick one. So, this really helps focus on, which part of our team will be strongest first, and I'm not really sure which one to pick, so we'll get that.
Overtaking is a key part of this sport. How have you ensured that your car can take advantage of each opportunity that comes your way?
Well, I think overtaking, the easiest way to overtake is about power, but I don't want to focus too much on the power unit. We already have a Mercedes engine, so we already did enough to get the power unit going. We spent a lot to get that Mercedes engine in there, so let's focus a little bit more on the chassis, apparently.
And finally, which of your new departments are you most proud of?
I actually thought that answer I picked was going to help the aero department, but I ended up boosting up the chassis department, so that's cool. But now we get a pretty clear-cut way of boosting one department over the other one, so let's go with the aerodynamics.
Well, that's about all we've got time for here. We will see how this fledgling team fares in its first Grand Prix.
Okay, great, thank you. That's a wrap.
Cool. So that was a preseason interview we did. So now we are about a week away from the first race of the season, the Australian Grand Prix. Of course, this F1 2020 season in the game is going to be using the schedule that was originally supposed to be taking place for Formula 1 in 2020 before the COVID-19 pandemic turned the season upside down. So you guys see the way our team is constructed right now. We are basically, the 8th best team on the grid. We're already better than Williams. We're already better than Haas. And I believe we're already better than Alfa Romeo. So we're not too bad. I'm surprised we aren't like the worst team or second worst team on the grid right off the bat. Like how did we come in and already be better than some of those guys? I don't know. How do I have so much money to put together a team? I don't know, but who am I to ask questions? What we do know is we have set our schedule to advance a couple of days, but not all the way to the Australian Grand Prix because we have to do our car reveal. Let's see what Team Cookie Monsters is looking like. True to our team name, Cookie Monsters, we have a car that looks like Cookie Monster himself. That wasn't 100% the plan, but, once I designed the car, I actually named the team that. As you guys see, we have an upgrade that failed. So we put in an aero upgrade that was supposed to come through before the Australian Grand Prix, but as you guys might have read, it had a 30% chance of failing. That means a 70% chance of success, which did not work in our favor. Those odds crashed on us, so now we have to rebuild the part and put it through once again. So it's going to take a couple more days of development. It's not going to come through in time for the Australian Grand Prix, so we're going in with the car that we had, the car that we showed up with for the car reveal. And without further ado, let's put Team Cookie Monsters on the track for the first time, get ourselves an achievement as well for our first outing, and right away I could tell that this car was not that good. I'm thinking we might actually be as bad as Williams. Now we took it easy here before we actually start up the lap, but immediately the first thing I noticed about this car, as opposed to just a normal F1 car that you drive in 2020, and especially like the car you can use for rank matches online, is that this car really struggles out of corners. Accelerating out of corners is definitely the weakness of this thing, and it was a pain in the butt. So you'll see a lot of wheel spin, a lot of loose moments off the corners, a lot of understeer or oversteer potentially, where we look like we're out of control, and that's just the way the car is built. And we're not going to be able to accelerate out of corners. That's going to be really bad, because that messes up the entire straightaway, and that's going to make us slow. But that is the charm of driving one of these cars. So we are on the hard tires, so that might be part of the struggles, but eventually I realized it was the car and not the tires. So yeah, I did allude to the fact that we did run a my career series in F1 2019, and I ended up stopping it. Mainly because, I felt like I messed the series up. I messed up the direction of the series by having the difficulty on a too easy of a setting, to where, we were scoring too many high points finishes, kind of out-punching our weight as far as the team at McLaren. And then the team McLaren itself ended up getting a boost from a patch to where, we were better than Red Bull by the time we got to the Monaco Grand Prix, which, makes practically no sense. That should not happen. As far as us joining McLaren last year, I didn't think it would be that easy. So, now we are starting off with a brand new team, so it's going to be nigh impossible to catch up to Red Bull by Monaco, I would think. I'm not sure what kind of progress we can make in not just, the first stretch of the season until we get to Monaco, but this first season in general. Like I said, we got a pretty generous spot here where we are already better than a couple of teams. So that means we shouldn't finish in last place in our first Grand Prix, myself or our teammate Nikita Mazepin. But, I'm not too sure we're going to be getting any points finishes anytime soon. So we are doing one-shot qualifying. You guys saw I simulated FP2 and FP3. I'm not going to do either of those. I'm just going to simulate those, get all of my work done in FP1. The race distances are 50%. I'm not sure I showed that one in the settings, but 50% race distances. Last time I did 25%. This time we're going to up it up a notch to 50. That opens up more strategic options as far as tire compounds and all that stuff. It makes safety cars more interesting, and it might help us. It might also hurt us. Longer races means we have more chances of putting together some poor laps. As you guys see, for some reason my recording messed up in qualifying, so I only got the second half of the lap. I'm not sure how, but yeah, so as you guys see, we qualified 15th, which is pretty good for us. You guys will see that we qualified pretty much on par with our teammate, which means that the difficulty setting is just about right, you know. So we are in 15th, which means we are not on pace to get points, which is 10th place to get at least 1 point. But, I mean, that's pretty good for our debut qualifying session. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the Australian Grand Prix.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
It's hard to imagine how a small operation like that could survive in the ruthless world of Formula One, and yet here they are, first ever race looking surprisingly strong. But there are no points for qualifying. Let's see how they fare in the Grand Prix proper.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Alexander Albon, and Verstappen, Sainz, Stroll, Ricciardo, and Esteban Ocon, Raikkonen, Cook, Pierre Gasly, and Mazepin. Norris, they've taken a grid penalty. Giovinazzi, Sergio Perez, and Roman Grosjean. Magnussen, Russell, Latifi, and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Alrighty, so if you stuck through that cutscene there, you'll notice that we are not starting 15th, we are starting P12 because 3 teams took grid penalties for the opening race. That makes no sense. Anyways, let's go. 5 red lights and the season is underway. The debut of the Cookie Monsters. We get a pretty good start. That's our teammate Mazepin behind us. Now beside us. Now diving us and wiping out multiple cars. What in the world was that? We continue on. We soldier without any damage. Watching Mazepin clean out. It looked like Esteban Ocon and Kimi Raikkonen into the grass. We absolutely mug off Pierre Gasly. I was not interested in racing side by side with him. We took the corner that was somewhat rightfully ours and pull away. Now we have Lando Norris behind us, but still scratching my head on what happened on that first lap. I am still just in shock that, you know, that's our teammate. That's not our true competition. That's a guy that we need to keep the car clean and not damage the car so he doesn't build up cost for us, you know, as we have Norris all over the back of us right now. Let's focus on the McLaren trying to put on the attack. This Australia track is pretty hard to pass on, so, you know, not many overtaking opportunities. So Norris is faster than us, but he might be stuck behind us until probably the front straightaway, maybe until DRS opens up. You guys see Stroll ahead of us. We are in 10th place after all of that calamity, so we are in a position to get 1 point. You know, it's probably not going to stick because it looks like Norris is faster than us, Gasly's faster than us. I believe Perez is behind us with a lot of pace. That Racing Point pretty good this season. Not the best of exits, but it looks like Norris backs off there. Norris might have been able to really run us into the first turn, but he is going to lay low, maybe wait next lap until DRS opens up, or wait for us to make a mistake, which is entirely possible because I'm still trying to learn this car. In the meantime, let's go back and watch that initial start because we need to go back and see what happened. What in the world Nakila was doing? So he dives us here, which is a pretty bold move to say the least, making it 4 wide, and he just never had a chance of making that corner. It looked like he just, you know, turned left when he's supposed to be turning right, and yeah, a rookie mistake to say the least from our teammate, as we have Norris, a rookie no more. Oh, but he's looking like one because he's lost it. Norris spins into the grass. That was controversial to say the least. Was that on us or was that on Lando Norris? Because that was an iffy corner to say the least. It looked like Lando had the nose ahead, but you know, I didn't mind letting Lando Norris pass me, but I wasn't going to back down and let him pass me at the same time. I was going to make him earn it somewhat, and you know, I feel like we might have given Norris a bit of a squeeze into that first turn. It looked like he was on the curb. At the same time, though, like, I did try to widen up as much as I possibly could. I went on the curve for the left-hander, and Norris ended up wiping out before that. It looked like on the replay that we didn't really make contact, but I did get a warning for a collision with Norris. So, you know, as you see, Gasly passed by us for P10 a lot more cleanly than Norris did. He just got a better run off the final corner. Perez is also on the attack. Perez is going to try to do it around the outside. I'm not sure it's going to work. We've made contact wheel to wheel with Perez. Hopefully that doesn't damage the wing, because if we damage the wing, that means everything. Damaging the wing even slightly could cost us a couple of tenths a lap. Damaging it severely could cost us seconds per lap and probably force us to make an unscheduled pit stop. So the Racing Point, the Tracing Point, the pink Mercedes, whatever you want to call it, is all over the back of us, and eventually we're going to have to concede this position because at some point, you know, defending and defending and defending is just going to hurt our lap time way too much, especially with a car like the Racing Point that's so much faster than us. So we just have to run our own pace, because if we don't, you know, we might crash, judging by the way these first couple of laps have gone. So, you know, I guess back to the Norris incident, I guess we'll call it a 50-50 split on the blame there between myself and Norris, maybe a 60-40, putting 60% on ourselves. So, you know, we kind of put Norris on the curb, so I feel a little bit bad about that. Like, I don't want to wreck the AI or race them 30, but, you know, Norris didn't lose it on his own, so like I said, that's about a 50-50 incident. The one with our teammate, like, I didn't even do anything. The dude just literally kamikazed his way and helped us out because he wiped out Ocon and Raikkonen, who were probably going to be ahead of us after that first corner, because we were 3 wide with, I believe it was Ocon, and I was probably going to have to let off and let Ocon at least have that corner, but and whoever else, I guess Raikkonen on the outside of him, but yeah. That's a bizarre way to start our first race. I doubt many people started their careers like that with their teammate. Just, you know, Daniel Kvyat is known as the Russian torpedo, or whatever it is, right? The torpedo. I think we might have a new Russian torpedo out there in Mazepin. So you guys saw Latifi, the rookie Canadian driver on the grid, try to attack us going into turn 1, but it was a really foolish attempt, and I guess might show the lack of racecraft from the rookie in the Williams, because he never had a chance, and it ended up just completely messing up his corner and the exit off of the subsequent left-hander. And now you see he's under attack from Giovinazzi. So Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I believe it's just Giovinazzi, right? Like J-O-E, Vinazzi. Either, like, some of these guys, they got some tricky last names. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna get every pronunciation of everything 100% right. So you guys see Carlos Sainz is making a pit stop right now. We're gonna pass Carlos Sainz. So the field is pretty split on either a 1-stop strategy or a 2-stop strategy. Ourselves at Team Cookie Monster, we are on a 2-stopper, so we're starting on the mediums, then we're going to soft tires, and then soft tires again. So We'll see how that one works out for us. A lot of teams going on the one stop. It looks like Lance Stroll is on a one stop. Any team that you see on hards is probably one stop. So you guys see Albon and Vettel actually pitted and came out ahead of us. So that means that they literally had, what, a 22-second gap on us at least, to where they were able to pit and come out ahead of us at the same time. So Mercedes is comfortably leading this race right now. Lewis Hamilton is right now in P1. Teammate Valtteri Bottas in P2. They will probably cruise to an easy 1-2 because the Mercedes is easily the best car in the field. Red Bull, the second best car. Ferrari the third, but Ferrari has the better engine. In fact, Ferrari has the best engine of any engine supplier in this game right now, so that might make Ferrari actually better than Red Bull, but especially at a track like Australia, which focuses a lot on aerodynamics, that Red Bull might be pretty nice. As Giovinazzi with the attack, he sticks it unlike Norris. He's going to have DRS down the second straight, and that's going to be Giovinazzi making the move nice and clean. So it is definitely possible to go wheel to wheel through that corner and not have an incident. Like, I think that time we both gave Giovinazzi more room, as you'll see the replay here, and Giovinazzi just didn't lose it the way Norris did. That time we had the nose out up ahead, unlike where, it looked like Norris had the nose out up on us. So might be different incidents there, might be apples and oranges. So either way, Norris is still way behind. Sainz is a little bit behind us, but he already pits. We have to make our pit stop, so we are in P8, but by the time we do make this pit stop, which is going to be coming after the end of this lap, we might be somewhere towards the mid-pack, maybe like P17 or something like that. And right now I'm thinking this two-stopper might have not been the best idea because, I don't know, I feel like the one-stopper might have been just better for us to try to maintain track positions as we are just trying to maintain the control of our race car. I'll tell you what, a lot of laps, we were just losing pace because I was trying to do everything in my damnedest possibilities to not crash. Like, the Alfa Romeo is not a faster car than us, but Giovinazzi right now is just faster than us. He's on the same compound as Ricciardo. That was Ricciardo taking a lunge at us as we are scheduled to make a pit stop. I'm really not sure what Ricciardo was doing because that is not really a passing zone on the track. We were literally making a scheduled pit stop, and look at Ricciardo in the grass. He had no chance of pulling off that move. Some aggressive tactics from the AI in our first race. A very blistering pit stop from Team Cookie Monster. Not that we really needed it too much because we actually we kind of needed it a little bit, because if we did not get that great pit stop, we would have had K-Mag all over the back of us in the Haas, which is our rival team. So, we definitely want to try to beat the Haas's. We actually come out in P13 out the pits, which, is a lot further up on the order than I thought we would be. But you'll notice that a lot of the guys in our racing area they're all on the hard tires, which means they're not pitting and they're going to the end of the race. Meanwhile, for us, we're pitting for softs and we're pitting for softs again. So it's a matter of whether we can put on the attack with both of these soft tire compounds as opposed to the hards, which may really fall off at the end of the race. But, I'm really thinking to myself, like, especially at a track like Australia, track position might really be king, and we might have botched the strategy in the opening race, because the way this race started, so unexpectedly well for us, especially with Mazepin just, literally torpedoing a couple of cars off the grid, and Ocon and Raikkonen as well as himself, we might have actually been in position to score points in our opening race if, we didn't have the strategy going for us. We might have been able to get, like, maybe 10th. It would have been a hard-fought one, but we passed Giovinazzi back, but, Antonio is on the hard compound tire. We're on the soft, so it's kind of expected for us to make this pass. Eventually, we're going to have to pit again. Meanwhile, Giovinazzi, he's staying out. I'm literally dreading the fact that this is the guy that we're racing right now, Giovinazzi, because this is probably the guy I'm least confident in pronouncing his last name on the grid. But here he is, though you see him dropping back. You'll see it looks like Carlos Sainz. He has made his second of 2 scheduled pit stops. He's come out right behind us. So with us still having a pit stop to make, Sainz is literally not even a problem for our race. Like, it's literally better off for us to let Carlos by as soon as possible so we can just continue on running our pace, which is hard to do right now. But, we're doing all we can. Whoa! Sainz, just like, it looked like Latifi earlier in the race with an ill-timed dive into the first corner. These guys are really going for it, which makes no sense because after that, you know, right and left, boom, boom, like 2 sets of corners, there's another DRS zone. So, you know, Sainz would have easily been able to just stay behind us, get DRS, and make the pass, and I would have more than happily obliged to letting Sainz by, as we eventually let Sainz by in the next lap. You guys notice Nicholas Latifi was off the track. He is out of the race. He, I believe, retired with mechanical issues. No safety car, no virtual safety car, no anything. So we are just going to continue racing. It would have been nice to have that safety car, I think. It probably would have helped us out a little bit just with our Doom strategy to be able to pit for a new pair of softs and just try to push at the end. I'm not even sure, but I do know we are scheduled to make this pit stop now. You'll notice Giovinazzi actually ran us down as our soft tires continue to wear down, which is really what made me regret going with the 2-stop, because once the tires wore down, I already mentioned that our weakness of our team is traction out of the corners and accelerating on the power, and you really cannot do that with worn tires. We couldn't do that with, you know, new sets of tires. So, yeah, we'll maybe have to, you know, focus more on track position than, you know, fresh tires at the end of our race for future races. But that's a lesson we learned in the opening race in our first race doing a 50% or 50% race. This is my first time ever doing a 50% race in an F1 game, so, you know, we're learning around. We're learning on the fly. So you see we are on the back of Esteban Ocon and our teammate Mazepin with, I believe, 6 laps to go here, coming to the line now, and we have a chance to pass all of these guys ahead of us. It's going to give us a decent position. It's not going to give us a chance at finishing in the points. Not without a safety car as we dive Ocon, and that's how you dive without, you know, just chickening out the last second like Latifi and Sainz did earlier in the race. We just went for it on Ocon, fresher tires, better grip, and we pulled the move off. As you guys see, Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari is out of the Australian Grand Prix. That is unfortunate because that Ferrari was looking like it might have had a potential podium finish in it, as we are all over the back of our teammate. Oh, I'd love to imply some team orders right now. We need this guy out of our race. We are running a different race than Mazepin as we go around him. Wow, that was risky. We are really putting it all on the line. I guess I got a bit reckless at the end of the race because, you know, these positions didn't really matter. It really didn't matter to me if we, you know, banged up this car any more than it already is banged up. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we picked up wing damage. Our wing is not exactly yellow, but it's definitely less green than it should be. As you see, we finally passed Leclerc, who was pulled off of the track out of the way. So once again, no safety car, no virtual safety car. We all push on as a unit, even though I really would have preferred the safety car for that Leclerc incident, because that would have put us on the back of the grid, you know, with fresh tires, attacking all these guys with hards. You see how much faster we are than the hard compound runners at the end of this race with fresh softs. These guys have been on these hard tires since lap 12 or something like that. As are we gonna do it? Whoa, we're gonna try it. We're side by side. Kvyat nearly loses it, and we go around the outside of Kvyat. Back-to-back moves on back-to-back Russians in somewhat controversial fashions, but we pull it off nonetheless. As you guys see, we do have corner cut on regular. It's not on strict because, quite frankly, I am not good enough to have strict corner cutting on, because if I put strict corner cutting on, I would probably accumulate about 15 seconds worth of penalties every race. I'm still trying to get better at these Formula 1 games, so I kind of just trying to take it, you know, step by step as far as, you know, taking away the assists from myself one by one. That might have, I don't know, that might have been an illegal overtake if there were actual stewards in the game, but the virtual steward said fair play, and we make them move on Grosjean once again in a spot that's not really a passing zone. And I think part of the reason why we have been able to make all these passes has been because of this guy, George Russell in the Williams, the slowest car on the grid. It has a good engine, but with the lack of drag, that engine is put to no good use. As you guys see, we're easily able to make the move with DRS down the straight on Russell. And it looks like Russell is just absolutely backing the pack up. Once again, Australia, hard track to pass on, so, you know, Russell is just holding up guys behind him who cannot make the moves the way we are making with our fresher compound and our actual human brain as opposed to the AI. Without George Russell backing up the pack. It looks like Grosjean's actually made the move on Russell. Finally, I don't even think we would have finished as high as P14, but nonetheless, in our first race for the Cookie Monsters, we will come across the line a solid and respectable P14. We'll take it. Why not? So, I believe Mazepin finished about P17 or P18, about what you would expect for someone who literally kamikazed everyone. Sergio Perez, driver of the day, well earned. I believe he came from like super mid-pack to get himself like P8 or something like that. So much respect to Sergio in the tracing point. As you see, Lewis Hamilton does pull out the victory. He has, I believe it's a flag-to-flag victory and the fastest lap. So Lewis has literally done it all this weekend in his quest to try to get that 7th World Championship. Raikkonen finishes a lap down because of the incident at the beginning of the race. Ocon and Mazepin down the grid because of that incident on the first lap. Norris doesn't get a points result, though he still finishes ahead of us, mainly due to a one-stop strategy as opposed to the two-stop. The only guy that really pulled off the two-stop was Carlos Sainz. Otherwise, the next two-stop strategy was us. So, yeah, the one-stop was definitely the move into Australia, even for the front runners. So, that is all squared up away. Stroll with a good 6. Gasly with a great 7th place. Remember, Gasly was behind us after the first lap, and he was able to do all of that. So that is pretty much going to do it for the first episode. It's a pretty long episode here to the next couple of episodes. You know, hopefully we can have more in-race detail and, you know, less of, you know, the cutscenes that we had to do at the start of the career or the My Team mode. So, you know, we can have hopefully some more fun races in Bahrain and Vietnam and China and everything up ahead. So before we end the video, we have a new sponsor ready to come aboard. But who? Who we pick as a sponsor is mainly based off of the objectives that are presented to us and whether we can achieve these objectives. So Atlantic has a pretty easy one. Finished a total of 75 laps throughout a race weekend between myself and my teammates. So we'll choose them. So welcome, Atlantic. So yeah, that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more F1 2020 My Team gameplay. And I'll catch you guys next time.